A lot of people today, Jason, are starting their early years with debt, and a lot of that is college debt. And so how do you address the debt issue? Do I start paying my debt off before I actually start saving, or do I still need to get those cash reserves and then focus on getting my debt paid off?
Yeah, I think the order here, and again, there will be differing opinions on this, but to me, the order here is 3 months emergency fund, at which point you start to take advantage of the 401k match. And once you've got up to that 401k match, then that portion of your budget, whether it was the 20% from the 50-30-20 rule, or if it's 10%, whatever you're determining is going to go towards savings or paying down debt. I think at that point in time, you need to take the debt on a case-by-case basis. And there will be some people that absolutely can't sleep knowing that they have college loans or credit card debt. And those are really two totally different things. But just the fact that they've got debt and they owe someone, they're not going to focus so much on the savings as they are about paying down that debt. I think you need to look at the interest rate and what was the debt from. If it's a student loan, maybe you've got low interest rates or deferred interest. Maybe you can continue to make the minimum payments on those. If it's consumer debt like a credit card where you're paying 15 to 20% interest rate, I think you need to be aggressive with paying that down before you focus too much on socking away another 1% or 2% into your 401k plan.
Jason, can you and I just say that we 100% agree that nobody, unless you have some wildly extenuating circumstances, should ever carry a balance on their credit card?
Absolutely. I think if there's nothing else that's taken away from this, but unfortunately the reality is I think something like 70% of Americans have a balance on a credit card.
Which is insane to me. And what that tells me is that they missed the very first part of what we talked about today, and that is the general budgeting and setting up your cash reserves, right? So if you didn't start with the budgeting part of it and you have credit card debt, that means you overspent. You spent more than what you earned. And I agree that we live in this, I call it a drive-through society mentality where we want everything and we want it now. And, we don't want to wait. And it's so easy for, especially college students, they get offers in the mail. Oh, take this credit card. And the next thing you know, you got $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in debt, and you're getting, charged 20% interest on it. And it becomes an insidious type situation where it's very, very difficult to get out of that. So I would say just never carry a balance on that credit card.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you've got a balance on a credit card, if you're listening to this podcast thinking, where should I start? And you've got the balance on the credit card, I'd say make sure you've got the emergency fund first. That's most important because if something happens to your job, for example, you need to be able to make your mortgage payment or your rent payment. You need to be able to keep the lights on. So having that money aside in your emergency fund isn't for a trip that's coming up, for example. It's literally for emergencies. Once that's taken care of, and then maybe if you've got the 401k with the employer match, take advantage of that. But then I'd say absolutely, if there's if there is a credit card balance, get that paid down as quickly as possible. And sometimes it's worth making a phone call to the credit card company saying, hey, I really want to get this, debt paid down. Is there anything you can do to help me out with my APR, my interest rate that you're charging me? Can you lower that, or can you reduce that, or can you waive, certain fees? And sometimes the card companies will work with you on that.
And I use a credit card every single month. And I use the credit card for either a cashback deal or for points for airline travel. But 100% of the time, that credit card gets paid off at the end of each month. So in other words, I don't put more on that credit card than what's in my budget. And I know you do the same thing, and we coach everybody to do exactly the same thing. So you could take advantage of some of the things that the credit cards do, and in order to understand, well, why would the credit cards offer this? You have to go back and understand this would be a whole nother program of how these credit card companies are making money and what they charge the actual retailer in order to process the transactions using those credit cards. And then you can come back to the equation of why in the heck are the banks making so much money, and then you will have your answer. It's a convenience, but the credit card companies and the banks, which or where the credit cards come from. They make a boatload of money on these things, but they shouldn't be from you paying interest on those credit cards. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And feel free to give us some comments below. If you want to watch this entire episode, you can find the link here on the screen or in the description below. Thanks for watching.
Starting your route to retirement.